So, hello there, and welcome back to yet another Night of the Movies podcast. I'm Spike Knight, and in these podcasts, I like talking all things movies and TV, and whatever I want, whenever I want. And in today's podcast, I'm reviewing this new Netflix limited TV series called Baby Reindeer. So, let's get into it. Baby Reindeer. So this, as already mentioned, is this new Netflix limited TV series, and it consists of 7 episodes, and it's created and written by Richard Gad, who also plays the lead in the series, and in real life he is a Scottish writer, actor and comedian. And here's the thing with this series, here's the thing with Baby Reindeer. I had no intention on watching this series, even though when it first came onto Netflix, I remember seeing the promotions for it, I remember seeing all the promotional stuff for it on there, and it looked like it was going to be my sort of show. But I had no intention to see it because I just had lots of other things to watch at the moment. But I decided to watch it because over the past couple of weeks, I've heard a lot of people raving about this series, and it seems to have stayed in the conversation, the TV conversation, which doesn't really happen for a Netflix TV show. Like, usually when a Netflix TV show comes out, because it's on Netflix and, you know, they release all the episodes of a show at once, people talk about that show for about a week or maybe a week and a half, and then people don't talk about it anymore. I mean, look at what's happened with Three Body Problem. Nobody talked about it because they released all the episodes at once, and it was about a month ago now they released all the episodes at once. But this show released a good couple of weeks ago now, and people are still talking about it. It's still number one on Netflix. I mean, I don't know how accurate that is, because obviously Netflix is still saying that maybe just to get more viewers and subscribers, but according to Netflix, it is still number one on that platform, so people are still watching it, which I do find interesting. And that was what made me want to check it out, because the people who were watching it were telling other people to watch it, and I heard loads of film pundits that I follow online talk about how much they really admired the craft of this show, how they thought this was one of the best TV series we've seen in the past couple of years. So that was one of the reasons I decided to check it out. And I also decided to check it out because I read that this show is based on the real life story of the lead actor and creator on the series, Richard Gad, as the series itself draws on his experiences of dealing with trauma and coping with a crazed stalker who forces her way into his life. And the fact that it was a true story, according to the reports and according to the titles at the start of every episode of the series, at the start of every episode of the series, almost lost train of thought there. Yeah, it says at the start of every episode that it's based on a true story. It says Baby Reindeer, written and created by Richard Gad, and then it says based on a true story. And because the show was based on a true story, that made me even more intrigued to see what the story was actually about. And when I finished the series last night, the fact that it was based on a true story made it all that more shocking. And according to Forbes, Richard Gad has called the story 100% emotionally true. So the story might not be 100% factually true, like he might have, dramatised some things because it's a TV show, which is always going to happen. But the fact that Richard Gad has said it's 100% emotionally true as well, I think is, it says a lot. And so I decided to give this series a watch. And the Google plot synopsis for the series goes as follows. Dealing with a female stalker, a man called Donnie, played by Richard Gad on the series, who's also a creator and writer on the series, is forced to face a dark buried trauma. And honestly, I was shaken by how excellent this series was. It is a masterfully crafted show. It is superbly written to the point that it gets really under your skin, and it disturbs you at times. It's emotionally devastating to watch, but also it's funny to watch, and it's got a lot of humour in there. Some humour which is dark humour, some humour which I didn't read as dark humour, and I felt was genuinely really funny. Sometimes you watch these shows and people say that it's going to be funny, or you watch a film and people say it's going to be funny, and it doesn't really turn out to be funny. But this show turned out to be funny. In fact, there were plenty of moments when I was laughing out loud, and I really didn't expect that, because yes, this show has a lot of truly dark moments, but it walks its tightrope of also being funny and being thoroughly entertaining and having this fulfilling storytelling, which I really didn't expect it to have. I felt fully invested into these characters that I was following, particularly the main character. And even so, he kept making bad decision after 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 bad decision. I still cared about him now, and I think that's because of the writing. I think it's because of the pathos in Richard Gadd's performance, and there's so much about this series where you almost want to stop watching it when you're watching it, but you can't turn away from it. It's almost like a car crash. When you see a car crash happen on the motorway, you look at it and you think, oh god, I want to look away, but you just can't. And that's what this whole series is like. And I'm not saying the series is a car crash in terms of what it's ended up being. No, but the story itself is a car crash. It's a train wreck. And I don't mean that as a criticism. I literally mean the story when you're watching it, it feels like you're watching, a car crash actually happen because of the decisions that the main character is making. He's constantly making the wrong decisions, but that keeps you, that actually gets you more engaged in the series as it goes on. And I really loved the storytelling and the direction. This is a brilliantly directed TV series, especially for a Netflix TV show, because a Netflix TV series, they're designed to be binge watched. They're designed to be watched all at once, and usually, sometimes I've watched these binge-watched TV shows. Sometimes I watch these TV shows designed to be binge-watched, and you can tell that that they haven't put that much thought into the direction, because the direction can feel sometimes generic, and the filmmaking doesn't feel like anything I've already seen in another TV show. But the filmmaking here was very surprising. It was very much not what I expected it, because the filmmaking does a great job at encapsulating the tone and the feel in so many sequences in this show, because there are some joyful sequences in the series, and the directing and the editing and the filmmaking as a whole does a great job at encapsulating those joyful sequences, whether it's through the needle drops as well. The music, I really love the music in this series. So many great needle drops from so many songs that I really loved, particularly I really love the song I Started a Joke by the Bee Gees, and the way that song is used I thought was pretty damn brilliant. Anyway, yeah, I love the needle drops, and I love how they're incorporated into the series, and I thought the filmmaking, it did a great job encapsulating these sequences, I've already said, where when it's a joyful sequence, when we watch our main character Donnie, played by Richard Gadd, having fun, the filmmaking encapsulates that. But then when we watch a really disturbing scene in the show, the filmmaking does a great job at making this scene feeling really hard to watch and hard to stomach, and I thought it was a brilliantly directed piece of television. There's not many times I say that about TV shows. I didn't say that about Fallout, which I viewed earlier this month, or last month now, which every month when I sometimes lose track of days. But anyway, I didn't say that about Fallout. At least I don't think I said that about Fallout. But this series, I thought, was very well edited, very well directed, very well crafted. It felt like a lot of passion and thought had gone into this series. It felt like Richard Gadd wanted to get his story out there, and I think he knows he's not the hero of his story. I think he knows he's not the hero of this show. I think anyone who reads it doesn't quite get the right message. He's not a hero, he's just telling his story. And what I really loved about this series was how it felt like it was a deep dive into the exploration. I felt like it was a deep dive into his character, into who he was, into his past, and how it shaped his present at the time that this story was taking place. I loved how it explored the life of this comedian who just kept making all these bad decisions and continues to make bad decisions literally until the end of the series, until the very last couple of seconds in the series. And how it's a show about fame, it's a show about wanting fame, it's a show about validation, it's a show about wanting to be loved, and it's a show about the bad decisions that we make and how they shape us. How we're kind of haunted by our bad decisions. I know I've been haunted by my bad decisions in the past, and we are less haunted by our good decisions because they don't feel as necessary. I love how the show explores all these different ideas, and those are just some of the ideas that I mentioned that it explores. There's so many other ideas that it explores them so well, and yet each episode is only like 30 minutes to 40 minutes long. I think the longest episode is episode 4, which is about 45 minutes. Doesn't feel it, by the way, but each episode is about 30 minutes to 35 minutes long, with the exception of the fourth episode, which is only 45 minutes. Each episode is under an hour, and yet they feel so fulfilling. It almost felt like I was watching an hour-long episode that just flew by. You know, there was no sense of the episode was being too short, or the episode wasn't getting to the actual meat of the story. Each episode felt like it got to the meat of the story. It felt like it gave you this fulfilling narrative for the story you're watching in that episode, if you follow my thinking. But also, it leaves you wanting more. Even the last episode leaves me wanting more. And that'd probably be my only criticism. I wish the series went on longer. And that's not a bad criticism to have. I wish the series was about 10 episodes. Or, 11 or 12 episodes. I wish we got to see more to this story. Because I do actually think you could make a second series now. With the backlash and the discourse that the series has had. Because I did some reading. I glanced over some news articles surrounding the backlash to this show. Maybe backlash isn't the right word, but the reception to these series, and I think you could make a second series out of this. Now, I don't think they will, because the series is on Netflix. It's being called a limited series, which means it's not going to get a second series. But I think you can make a second series and make it pretty damn good, and make it even a bit meta if you wanted to. Maybe go in the Black Mirror direction, although maybe people criticise it being too much like Black Mirror, so maybe not, I don't know. But I think you could do a second series, and I think it could be just as interesting. Although, if you leave it where it is, I think that's totally fine as well. Because there is a lot to this story, and it feels, even though there's a lot to the story, it feels like it's conclusive by the end. It almost feels like it comes full circle. Not to go into too much spoilers in case people haven't seen it yet, but the end, I watched it and I was like, I didn't love where it ended initially, but then the more I've thought about it, the more I've thought, yeah, that's the perfect end. I mean, it's a it's a shocking end, but maybe not shocking's the right, but it's a sad end. Shocking's not the right word. It's a sad end, but it's a fitting end. That's what I really liked about it. And the performances were all utterly convincing and versatile and really compelling to watch. I've already mentioned Richard Gadd's performance. He has a lot of pathos in his performance, and I really liked how he played himself, because the series is based on his own story, and I thought that it was I found his performance to be very real. And I liked how real the series felt as a whole. It felt like I was watching someone's life play out in this sort of non-linear storytelling. And I thought he gave a very good performance. Jessica Gunning as the stalker to Donnie, Richard Gadd's character. I thought Jessica Gunning was really terrific in this series, because I totally believed her as a stalker. I never felt like I was watching her, because I've seen her in other TV shows. I think one of the TV shows is What Remains, I think that's what it's called, and I remember thinking she was good in that. I also more recently saw in The Outlaws, the Stephen Merchant comedy drama, which I thought she was very funny and very, very good in. And she's very different in The Outlaws than she is in this show, but she does carry some of that performance over, and fittingly so. I think it worked, and I thought her performance was very believable, and very compelling. I really, really admired this TV series. I thought it was an excellent piece of filmmaking. I thought the whole thing was excellently done. I'm going to go back to that word excellent, because that's what I came away thinking. Just what an excellent piece of television. And I don't usually think like that when I watch a piece of television. I usually go, yeah, that was awesome, if it's something I really enjoyed, like say Fallout, or oh my god, that was absolutely brilliant. Like, what was the TV show I was raving about earlier this year that I absolutely loved? Fargo. When I came away from Fargo, I go, wow, that was just amazing, unlike any other TV show I've seen over the past couple of years. I didn't come away from Baby Reindeer feeling anything like that. I came away from Baby Reindeer going, that was based on a true story? Wow. I came away feeling emotionally affected. And also, I came away thinking, what a brilliantly crafted piece of television. Just the way it all played out. Because it is one of those series which just gets better and better and better and better as it goes on. And it was a series which I binged in less than 48 hours, or just over 48 hours actually, because I started the show a couple of days ago thinking I'll get through this by the end of the week. I started on Sunday, I got through it by Monday. By Monday night I'd finished the series. You know, I kept saying to myself after each episode, that'd be it, you know. I kept saying to myself whilst I was watching the episode, actually, this is gonna be the last episode I watch, and then I would watch the next one. And the first night I watched the first 3 episodes, and the next night I watched the next 4 episodes. There's 7 episodes overall. And I mean, I binged this show, and I don't usually do that with TV series. Even with a Netflix TV series, in the past I watched Netflix TV shows like The Crown, and I like to savour them because you can tell that so much work has gone into the series, and I think watching it all at once takes away from that work. It always makes everything mush together. But I didn't feel that with Baby Reindeer. I mean, I kind of want to watch it again, but I also kind of don't because it's such a tough watch. It is a really, really tough watch, and I want to emphasise that. But I kind of want to watch it again just to fully appreciate its craft, because I don't know if I got to do that when I was watching it for the first time. But the thing is, I am happy I binge watched it, though. I'm happy I watched it within the space of about not 24 hours, within the space of about 48 hours. I'm happy I did that because I do feel it made the show more fulfilling, it made it more riveting, it made it more compelling, it made it more of an emotionally engaging watch, and I think it also made it more of an entertaining watch. This is a dark show, and it's a tough show to watch at times. It really is. Again, I want to fully emphasise that. This is not for the faint-hearted. This is, at times, I was surprised by how far it went. But it is also thoroughly entertaining at times as well. It's really funny, and sometimes darkly funny, and sometimes not darkly funny. It is just, I mean, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant, and I have no major criticism with it whatsoever. I was quite saddened to read that it was 100% emotionally true, because if anything, that's worse than it being 100% true in terms of every event being depicted the way it was, because he still lived through this. This might not have actually happened, but he still lived through it, you know? And it makes it all that more emotionally affecting to think about and to watch. I'm not sure I've seen anything like it. And I love how it explored trauma. I love how it explored what it'd be like. I love how it gets you in the mind of this person who's being stalked. It feels like you're living with the person who is being stalked. It feels like you're there with him, and you're being stalked as well, and you're in his position. I just thought all that was, yeah, excellent. And so, all in all, I'm going to say that Baby Reindeer, yeah, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. Again, nothing I would really change about this series. I thought it was just phenomenal. I mean, it was a really fantastic piece of television that explored all these aspects of this person's life and did it so well, and explained why he was the way he was. Because in the first 2 episodes, in the first 3 episodes even, you're watching it and you're thinking, why is he acting this way? Why did he actually kind of want to get close to this stalker? Why does he kind of like her? And then you realise why this might be in the 4th episode, and then how everything is just really getting to him. There's a monologue, I think it's in the 7th, no, it's in the 6th episode, sorry, it's in the 6th episode, which was mesmerising. The whole thing was mesmerising. Richard Gadd's delivery of the monologue, the way the monologue was directed. I mean, the whole show it's fascinating, and it's very entertaining, but also it's very difficult to watch. It's a very unique show that won't be for everybody. I can completely understand why some people might come away from the show and go, I wish I didn't watch that. But I can also understand why some people will come away from the show, similar to me, and think, what an excellent piece, and I'm going back to that word, what an excellent piece of TV that is going to stick with me for quite a while. Yeah, and that's pretty much how I felt about the series. overall. And so, all in all, as what he said, and as I'm going to say once more in this review today, Baby Reindeer is a 10 out of 10 from me. Anyway, guys, that's it for today's podcast. If you have seen Baby Reindeer, please let me know your thoughts on it in the comment section below. And as always, thank you for watching or listening to this podcast. And don't forget that if you did watch this podcast, but you prefer to listen to our podcast, well, even look, as you can also listen to this podcast on Spotify at Night the Movies on that platform. And if you did already listen to this podcast, if you listen to this podcast on Spotify, well, thank you very much for listening to me on Spotify. And you should also know that you can check out this podcast visually. Yes, you can watch this podcast on my YouTube channel at Night the Movies on that platform as well. And wherever you did watch or listen to this podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe if you did enjoy the podcast, because heck, it makes me happier and it keeps you guys updated whenever I release new content. So yes, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, as what he said, thank you as always for watching or listening to this podcast. And I suppose this is it. So I will see you guys again soon. But bye for now. Bye.